Well, at least we're not going to talk about She-Hulk again this morning. Apparently we could. It just keeps right on sucking, and not in the fun way.
Oh, did it suck? Did it suck more again? I haven't seen any more news on She-Hulk, and honestly, even if I had, I'm tired of the fat ass. But hey, we actually got good traction on a couple of She-Hulk episodes, so but we're done with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't anymore. I never thought I'd live in a day and age where it's like you get all this nerdy stuff. You get like the Predator and the Terminator and Star Wars and Star Trek and anime and Disney and it's all terrible.
It's garbage.
It's awful.
It is. Good morning.
Indeed. Good morning.
Oops. What happened, Steve? Did you stub a toe? Did you get a candy cane stuck in your beard?
Okay. So Willow Bar has first blood this morning.
No shit.
And then JDF
representing her people with first blood. Get them scalps, babe.
Yeah, according to her, it doesn't matter what order the blood comes in, her people are going to get some. Just ask her. She will tell you all about it. You know how a lot of people get offended by the noble savage and blah, blah, blah. Not your wife said you can drop that noble part.
It's
just savages.
Savage.
That's right. They were on our lawn. And then let's see. Pit Daddy. Jen Lee McGinnis. I'm still waiting on Steve's. Oops, whatever that means. Dan Burks, Brett Brown.
Sergeant Major says, good morning. Yesterday was rough. We'll have to talk offline, old man. I hope everything's okay.
And then Megan Anderson Wilbanks. And if I said Jen, I'm just gonna say it again because Jen's very nice and awesome, and if not, I said it the first time.
And both of them. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning.
It's Woke Wednesday.
Yes.
And originally, the video with the cringe monster we were going to do on Woke Wednesday, but we weren't sure Chris was going to be here, so we...
Yeah. And
the video with the cringe monster.
Oh, Sergeant Major talking about yesterday was rough. He's referring to the absolute just firestorm in the stock market yesterday. Yeah.
Well, look,
I think Kamala Harris said it best. Elections have consequences, and this is what you asked for.
Okay, but in all seriousness, when a 1,000-point hit is not the one you want, generally speaking. Okay, that I think we can agree. But a 1,000-point hit when the stock market has been over 25,000 points for an extended period of time, versus the 1,000-point hit that happened in 2008 when the highest the stock market had ever been was about 10,000 points. Like, I remember the day it started out at like 8,100 and ended at 6,700, and the world was panicking. And look, that was huge, and that was terrible. And what happened yesterday, also terrible. Feel bad for everybody with a 401k. But it's just not as bad. Like, we've seen worse. Now, look, I realize
we've always seen worse because the stock market has been setting consistently record highs since the last legitimate election.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna very carefully pick around that. But I guess what I'm saying is I realize that it'd be really easy to say that the stock market took 1,000-point gut shot and Joe Biden sucks. And yes, the stock market took a 1,000-point gut shot, and yes, the stock market sucks. However, those two things might not actually be as related as we would like to assume. Joe Biden just sucks.
He does.
Like it's and then more people joined us. So Patricia Barrett, Danielle Munoz, and I think Dan Burks.
He was already in here. He was just on YouTube earlier.
Oh, my bad.
But I appreciate Dan's habit of watching multiple platforms.
Yes, boost Al Gore's rhythm, a thing that he doesn't have.
It's a system of tubes.
Oh my god.
So,
yes.
What is today's wokeness?
Well, Disney, I think, is going to continue to provide us with an endless font of entertainment on this front. Well, entertainment.
Yeah, I really need to cut that Empire of Joy clip. I keep meaning to, but Disney's going to continue to fail. So,
well, you know, I said before, and then we'll actually get into the subject at hand. I actually look at CNN trying to pretend like they're going to be more objective as a huge victory.
Yeah.
Because, like, they got to the point to where, like, apparently even Ted Turner's pockets have bottoms. Right?
Apparently.
Now, what you want to say and do with that information is entirely up to you.
And those bottoms have holes in them. And that hole is called the Trump slump. So,
but hopefully, when Disney acquired Star Wars and then kind of put all their eggs in that basket, like, dude, at this point, like, they have the Mandalorian.
Can you imagine what Walt Disney would say if he were to see Disney today? We can't say it out loud on the channel.
I was about to say, I can imagine.
I can tell you exactly what he would say. It would sound like a rant from the Legion.
I can imagineer it, in fact.
In fact, the Legion is Walt Disney.
Changed my mind.
Oh.
He even lives in Florida.
1.5 million dislikes. 1.5 million dislikes on the trailer. Right? As I understand it, the Black Little Mermaid hasn't even been released yet. Just the trailer. But what has happened? They dropped the YouTube trailer. They dropped the trailer on YouTube, and in just 2 days,
shoo buddy,
1.5 million dislikes. Now, keep in mind, the dislike button has been changed. And like we were talking about this earlier in show prep this morning, that is some mini truth shit right there. They literally got rid of the dislike button because Joe Biden is the president.
Yeah, his dislike ratio kept being at a minimum 2-1.
Yeah,
and people were going, I thought this was the guy that got 81 million votes.
And the only and frankly, the only thing that kept Joe Biden's dislike ratio from being any higher than it was, you know, it was always at least 2-1, if not more. Mm-hmm. The thing that prevented that ratio from rapidly approaching the 100-1, 1,000-1 range was sheer volume. People just, weren't watching. People just didn't care to watch his speeches. Surprise, surprise. So, despite many falling in love with the sneak peek of Rob Marshall's live-action version of The Little Mermaid, they didn't. The trailer has already copped 1.5 million dislikes on YouTube. While the trailer only dropped over the weekend, internet trolls have made their feelings known about the highly awaited Disney flick. Trolls? Evidence. Offer me some evidence. Is it not potentially possible that there are people, human beings,
It's saying
who
that,
just don't like it when you do this silly shit.
well, it's saying that there are trolls on the internet. It's like saying there are drunk people at a bar. Like, next.
And these comments, the part where Ariel says, "No, I am your father," gets me every time. Truly one of the most movies ever made. The part where Ariel says, "Okay, I'm reloaded." What a classic moment. The part where Ariel said, "Bond, James Bond," gave me the most immense goosebumps. The part where Ariel says, "It's the pearls, Chico, they never lie."
Yes.
It's not swimming, it's sinking with style.
Have you seen the trailer?
Nope.
Okay. So here's the deal. All right, because I was curious. Well, no, we don't have to. I'm about to explain why we don't have to. We can if you want to prove me correct and everything I'm about to say.
I'm comfortable with that.
But okay. But here's the deal, all right? When Disney started down this path of doing live action remakes of, you know, their top animated movies, it was obviously a cash grab. But fine, businesses exist to make money.
Right.
The problem, of course, came from the fact that instead of taking advantage of this live action format in order to do things that, you know, are different or quirky or whatever, they took advantage of the live action format to hit all the major beats and only include like just wokey stuff and watered down versions of their original properties. And some of these things don't translate very well to live action. Like apparently The Lion King was just kind of a nightmare to get through. Like the animals were realistic enough where you kept asking yourself, why are they talking? If this actually works better as a cartoon, right?
And some things do.
And here's the thing. They tried to make the underwater stuff look correct. And if you guys don't know, if you go more than about 100 feet deep into water, this thing happens where it gets dark. Okay? So the cinematography is kind of muddy. Everything's like a gray blue. Whereas the original Little Mermaid, part of what made it such a good movie is all the underwater stuff was bright and colorful and inventive. That's not how actual underwater works.
Right, because cameras are racist.
I was not prepared for that one. Anyhow.
You remember the Google phone?
Look, stop.
The first not racist camera.
Yes, I do. I remember covering that.
Uh-huh. Because cameras can't see black people because they're racist.
Anyhow. But the cinematography itself on this, it doesn't work very well. Like in the original Little Mermaid, everything was all bright and colorful and cheerful. And then here, in order to make it look like this is actually a mermaid under the ocean, it looks good if you're in a Jacques Cousteau film. But in a Disney film, if you're trying to get the little kitties' butts in the seats, no.
Well, I mean, there is a very popular media category, a very popular genre of film that looks like this. Like, I mean, we can watch a little bit of the trailer here, apparently, and you can see how it looks. And there is a very popular genre of film that looks like this. It's called horror. And I'm not just being funny. I mean, obviously I'm hilarious, but that looks like you're waiting for the monster to sneak up on you.
Well, yes.
That's what that lighting, that's what that cinematic composition looks like.
So, hey, look.
There is a monster in this movie, and apparently it was going to be Lizzo, but they went with Jenny McCarthy or something.
I honestly, I don't know. Boy, Lizzo.
If race doesn't matter, the Hollywood fat chicks are getting interswapped a lot faster than I expected.
Boy, Lizzo. Dude, maybe we'll develop this off air and then bring it on air, but I'm actually come to the opinion that Lizzo's a genius. She's she's trash. Don't misunderstand.
I think Eminem was a genius, but he was a successful marketing genius who took advantage of something very specific.
In fact, I happen to think that's exactly what Lizzo did.
I think you're right.
You know, she won an Emmy a couple of days ago.
And she doesn't even know why.
Yes, she does.
Well,
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She knows exactly why. Anyhow, but
Uncle Steve says Jaws playing in the background. Yeah, exactly. That lighting right there. You're waiting for the shark to come up and eat Ariel.
But thanks for proving my point. Like, it looks cool. Don't misunderstand. Like, there is a high degree of technical proficiency there, but
You almost can't tell that it's a black chick with red hair.
that's actually part of the problem. Like,
Yes.
there are legitimate things to criticize here. And Jen says, can they create some original characters rather than going back and redoing characters?
It's almost like you plan our transitions for us.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, there's actually a bit there to unpack. The first thing is, I'll just say it, okay? Race swapping characters in and of itself, even gender swapping characters, reimagining, reinterpreting, if you've actually got something artistic to say, sure.
Yeah,
Go ahead. And then I can give you an example. When they cast Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in the MCU. Well, you know what? Nick Fury was white in most incarnations in the comics up to that point. But you got Samuel motherfucking Jackson. Okay, you know what? Nick Fury's black now because it's Samuel Jackson.
In fairness to the Nick Fury character, the original white Nick Fury came from source material whose future date was prior to the current occurrence date block of the MCU, where Nick Fury originated in the segregated American military. And so a black man at that time rising the ranks and becoming what Nick Fury is, improbable. But the Nick Fury of the modern MCU, where the MCU takes place current day, current year, essentially, would have been coming up through the early 80s, maybe early 90s, to
Right.
become the special agent type character that he is. And that's a very different situation. So when you tell me that Nick Fury's race doesn't matter to the story in that context, that's doable. When you tell me that the race doesn't matter, my first question is, then why do you need to make the change? And then my second question is, why are you lying? Because then you go back to my favorite example is always Peter Parker,
And this is
Miles
a good
Morales.
example.
Right. Miles Morales is the Hispanic black, I think he's Afro-Cuban version of Spider-Man. But that's not, they didn't go and say, okay, here's a black Spider-Man. We made Peter Parker black because we wanted representation. No. They came in, and in the same universe where there is a Peter Parker, they have another character acquire not the same, but similar powers through a spider bite.
Right.
But Miles Morales gets a different set of powers from Spider-Man, but the character Miles Morales exists in the same universe as Spider-Man and idolizes the Spider-Man character. And that's the right way to do that, because you've written an original character, an original story in a universe that you liked. Whereas if you tell me that the race doesn't matter, you just want to see a black Peter Parker, then either the race doesn't matter and there's not a useful reason to make the race swap, or the race does matter, in which case you cannot tell the story of Peter Parker if Peter Parker is not a white kid. Because if the race matters, then the Peter Parker that is black has he comes from a different cultural heritage, he comes from a different neighborhood, he comes from a different background. his entire life experience. Hell, he grew up listening to different music. He grew up respecting different historical figures. He grew up in a different disciplinary paradigm with a different cultural understanding of the relationship between parents and children, right? Now, I mean, in fairness, white Peter Parker and black Peter Parker both grew up without a father, but
Oh, no.
but that's probably where the similarities end.
Okay, that's not where I thought you were going to end that off at. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, for him to be Peter Parker, his parents had to disappear somehow. That wasn't at all a racial joke.
Anyhow, yeah, stop. Just stop. Look, and it's not just okay, there's two pieces to it. There's why they're doing the race swapping, and then there's what they're hoping to accomplish with the race swap. That's the problem. They're not saying, yeah, this character's normally white, but we got Samuel L. Jackson to sign on the line, so now he's black. Nobody had a problem. The very same people that think this trailer is stupid, all those same people were like, they got Sam Jackson to play Nick Fury? Yes.
Yeah, we didn't even care when Nick Fury came out swinging a purple lightsaber. We were good with it.
Different franchise. Different franchise.
Is it now?
Well,
Disney
no.
bought them both, so not for long.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently.
Use the kryptonite, Luke.
But, so it's disingenuous, okay? But it's also what they're doing with it. The Critical Drinker put out a video recently where he saw a Twitter thread and he referred to this as fan baiting, where they know they've got a movie that, in all honesty, is probably mediocre. A lot of these things are probably not as bad as the hours and hours of rage tubing make them out to be, but because they provoke us, right? Now we watch these things and we look for every tiny flaw. Like,
yeah, and to be absolutely fair, we're talking about this morning because it's a popular topic. It makes for good search engine optimization, helps to grow the show, right?
well, when they say that all this is predictable, I can't help but wondering, I mean, you want to talk about some wag the dog type of shit. Like, okay, let's throw a couple of black people in, let's throw a couple of gay people in, maybe even have a tranny elf or whatever in our TV show or movie or web series or whatever, okay? And then let's talk about all these racist, terrible tropes. I almost told you that we should talk about the thing with not Eric Moriarty, whatever her name is, Moriarty, who plays Starlight in The Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Like, apparently she's getting sexually harassed online. And I'm like, first of all.
Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah, well, not only that, okay? Not only that, but, like, you do in fact play a character on a TV show who is sexually harassed in the TV show. Yep. And part of the reason why she's sexually harassed is because she's absolutely fucking gorgeous. Why do you think they cast you to play that part?
Yeah, see, here's the thing about the sexual harassment claim that I say Pixar, it didn't happen. I have no doubt that she's getting DMs and tweets and whatever.
Oh, sure. But it's like the cat call
I want to
thing.
see them. Are they vile, vulgar, grotesque?
I mean, I'm sure some are.
I'm sure some are. I bet you a lot of them are, oh my God, I fell in love with you on screen. Oh, marry me, have my babies. I love you. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. You know, sometimes a cup of coffee is just a cup of coffee. Speaking of which, buy me a coffee.
Oh, I see what you did there. Well done. Well done. Well, look, but, okay, there's also the thing with, like, Moses Ingram on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show where she showed, like, 3 or 4 messages. Okay, millions of people have watched Obi-Wan Kenobi and gone, God, this show's really kind of fucking bland. I don't like it. And you're retconning all this stuff that's in the Star Wars canon.
Right.
I don't like that either.
And apparently they made Obi-Wan a bitch.
They did. It was very uncomfortable. It was very well. I mean, Obi-Wan is a legacy character who's white and wise, so
yeah,
have to bring him down a peg.
Yeah,
right. So, but then like on cue, there was this whole thing, and Ewan McGregor's in his car, and he's like, "Oh, Moses Ingram is this and that and the other," and we talked about this when we covered Obi-Wan, that Moses Ingram was probably the best part of the show. Her plot line was probably the best. They should have just made the whole show about the evil Jedi that Darth Vader recruited to hunt down the remaining good. It might have been a good show. But they produced the results, as it were. And it's, when we're dealing with the internet, oh, thank you. When we're dealing with the internet, I mean, you're always going to find a few assholes.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I mean, we're here every morning, 7:30.
Yes, thank you. That is definitely part of it.
Same fat time, same fat channel.
But what I'm getting at is, it's so predictable because they set it up to be predictable. There's always going to be one.
Yeah.
Right? You know how like when you're in a meeting and the meeting's almost over and people are ready to go eat the free donuts that they brought in for the meeting, and a couple of you have to pee and all your coffees are empty, and the meeting that you've been in for 2 hours. This is, and you've seen this happen too.
Well, yes, sir. I understand that it's Friday and it's COB and
well, hold on, let me finish.
I'd like to talk about bike racks on base, please.
Look.
No,
well, here's what happens. The leader of the meeting goes, and unless anybody has any questions, we're done. And then there's always one. And the thing they have a question about is either completely 100% unrelated to the meeting, absolutely, or it's a thing that was already covered in explicit detail in the meeting.
Exactly.
And we said, were you paying attention at all? And it's the same thing here. There's always one. There's always somebody that's going to say, "Oh man, Ariel is I'm racist and blah 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 because Ariel is black and blah blah blah." So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, of course, is the fact that they're doing that on purpose, that it's fan baited on purpose. They know they've got a mediocre product, and the only thing they can do is to pick the fight on purpose so they can get the attention, and they can hide behind, "Oh, well, we're being review bombed by trolls." It's not that our Quain's Rangs of Power show is just not very good. It's that we're being review bombed by trolls.
Yeah. It's got nothing to do with the show sucks. Now, I want to bring up this image, and this, I know, I'm sorry, guys. I hope you were able to catch most of that backflow in your coffee cup, so you don't have to clean it up off the table with paper towels, which are directly there if you need one. This is actually a powerful image. There's a lot of interesting going on right here, right? So she's got a mustache and a nose ring and refuses to shave. Like, let's be fair. This hairy armpits, like this, the person that's represented in this image might actually be attractive if they had better hygiene. Right? This isn't making choices about appearances. I mean, the flies really kind of give it away. But the shirt says, "My existence isn't about how attractive you find me." Yes, it is. And no, it's not. And here's what I mean. Your entire self-image is wrapped up. Yours in particular. I don't mean one's. I'm speaking specifically about the sort of person that makes these claims, that makes claims like this. That, "Oh, well, you're trying to You're trying to erase us. You're trans erasure. You're trying to erase women. You're trying to erase that. But no, listen. That I don't want to have sex with you doesn't invalidate you as a human being. There's a whole crapload of people out there that I don't want to have sex with.
Yeah.
And
dudes.
some of them, it's not even because they're ugly.
Yeah, it's because they have penises.
Yeah, like Cameron here. His being ugly has nothing to do with why I don't want to put my penis inside of him.
Oh.
There are so many other reasons that a person might not want to have sex with you. And a person not finding you physically attractive doesn't change that you exist. Because at the same time that there are millions and billions of people that I'm not interested in sexually, there's a shitload of those people that don't want nothing to do with me too.
Well, and this is related to the other thing, right? On the one hand, this type of mentality about how, oh, you know, I'm allowed to blah 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 and blah blah blah, and you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to criticize me. At the same time, if it was convenient to their narrative, you would have to give them their correct gender identification, and you would not allowed to be criticized how attractive they were, especially based on that gender identification. It's almost like this is another flavor of the very thing that we talked about with the Black Ariel. I don't think it's just fan baiting. I think the one thing that the drinker did was not, the one mistake he made, he didn't go far enough. Everything is fan baiting. The left is in an extremely, video stop.
That's okay, you keep talking.
The left is in an extremely precarious position where they know between everything happening in pop culture and then everything happening in politics is proving their absolute inadequacy and failure. They know it's happening. So the only thing they've got left is a complex distraction ploy. And stuff like this where you're going to tell girls, no, don't try and be attractive. And then when you get less attention from high quality males, it's because there's something wrong with the males. It's not because it would take relatively little on your part to be more attractive. And speaking of, okay, ladies, let me just clue y'all in on something, okay? I don't know who told you that piercing this right here was hot.
They were wrong.
Yeah, most of us, yeah, no, we don't find that attractive at all. Not even a little bit. Okay, that might be the most offensive thing on this image. And your wife says something that actually I want to touch on. She says low quality needs love too.
Well, starving children in Africa.
Well, hold on.
But I'm not going to mail them your fries.
Hold on. No. Here's the deal. How are we going to define quality? Is there, because there's two sides to that. There's an X and a Y axis. And then the X axis is how naturally attractive you are. Mm-hmm. Okay. But part of the thing that makes the girl next door, who's just a plain Jane, super average chick, really hot when she dresses up is because she takes the effort to dress up. And suddenly it's like, oh, man, there's a really attractive woman in there. There's a lot of, just like men can become more attractive by being manly men, even if they are not, square-jawed whatevers. It's the same thing with women. Like, you're signaling to potential mates. Uh-oh, it did it again. Oh, I see what the problem is.
Oh, dear.
Anyhow, you're signaling to potential mates that you care about yourself enough to put in the effort to do what is required to fit inside the norm. It's almost like we talked about yesterday when we said it doesn't really matter what the standards are, but that there are standards and that you give enough of a shit to attempt to meet the standards, I don't, I'll give anybody a shot within reason at our company, assuming they're willing to prove that they care. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you show up to a job interview and your face is a freaking Christmas tree.
Yes.
I'll look at your resume, but I won't look at it as hard as I will look at the resume of somebody who took a shower before we sat down to speak.
I got in trouble for that once. This kid, and I won't give the context, but I worked for something where we had corporate liaisons.
Uh-huh.
And there was a corporate liaison there. I was the general manager of this location. And this kid comes up, and I mean,
I think I remember this. The kid looked like he belonged on one of your shelves.
well, he had like the boxers, and then the sweatpants, and then the pants with the belt, and I was wearing a tie, and he comes up and he's like, "Are you hiring?" And I wasn't even rude to him. I just told him, I said, "Look, man, we are, but here's a problem I have. Look at how I'm dressed. Look at how my staff is dressed. They weren't dressed to the nines like I was, but they were all wearing polos, Right. Look at how they're dressed. And now look at how you're dressed. And really ask yourself if I'm going to believe you want a job." And the corporate liaison overheard it, and I got told I was insensitive and needed to be sensitive to diversity. And I'm like, no,
I don't.
No, I don't.
I need to be sensitive to competency.
That's correct. Like, you can't even make the basic effort. You can't even pretend for 5 minutes.
But you're right. He was diverse. He was diverse from competency. He was diverse from value.
Yeah, so
he was diverse from shows up on time sober.
Yes, there you go. And just one other thing real quick. I would still love to see, let's just blow everybody's mind. I would still love to see a retelling of the Arthurian legends that stars Denzel Washington. It would require a lot of creativity, and maybe you'd have to do things extremely in a very symbolic fashion, but Denzel Washington's a good enough actor, I think. Like, you seen the Book of Eli?
Yeah.
Right? I believe that he could be a warrior anointed by God. Absolutely.
I do too.
Oh.
I got some pushback for you. I got some pushback for you there, but we don't have time to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, I mean, I realize it's English. Oh, hey, one other thing. If race doesn't matter, I can't wait to see the white Wakandans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And not just, what is it, Umbarak or, damn, White Ape.
King Arthur. Gangs of the Round Table. Oh.
Nope. Diversity. It's a triangular table.
M'Baku. I think you mean M'Baku, the white monkey.
Yeah.
Which, okay.
White ape, right?
Whatever. I just know that that
if it doesn't have a tail, it's not a monkey.
Even if it has a monkey kind of shape.
If it doesn't have a tail, it's not a monkey. If it doesn't have a tail, then it's an ape. Like, for example, tomatoes. Tomatoes are apes.
I don't think that's where they were going.
That was for you, Danny. I hope you enjoyed it. All right, we love you guys, and I'm going to the beach.